What's up, everybody? Welcome to Goaltending, where your why is bigger than your excuses. I'm your host, Will Bland, and today we have a very special guest joining us to talk about goaltending from the perspective of a senior project manager. But before I get into introducing our guest, first, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for allowing us to join your journey, because ultimately, our goal is to add value to your life, to help you live the most fulfilled life possible, to give you things that you can learn for, to bring in guests who can help you. The only ask is that you like, comment, and join the conversation. If you find this information helpful, please share it. Get it to other people so that we can reach as many people as possible. If you know somebody who would make a great guest, make a connection, would love to hear their story, bring them in, help them provide value as well. And don't forget to subscribe on your listening platform. So without further ado, extremely excited to introduce our guest today, long-time friend. But what I want to say first is I asked him to send me over a bio just so I could make sure I covered all the points. And he started with, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a friend and a mentor. And that says everything that you need to know about this guy. He's done some incredible things as a project manager, but the way that he's prioritized relationships in his life while doing those incredible things is the key, the balance. So he's been so impressive with that. One of the things that I really look at him for, and on top of that, as a senior project manager with Messer Construction in Louisville, Kentucky, he's taken on a couple of huge projects that I want to mention. Now, he's done a ton more than that, but a couple big projects. He actually was a project manager for the Lynn Family Soccer Stadium, a $65 million project. And the U of L residence halls, there was 2 5-story dorms.
Correct, yep.
A $68 million project. A very proud Murray State University alumni. And since he graduated college, he has just been involved in the community, speaking at elementary schools, giving back to charitable organizations, finding ways to make an impact, at work and outside of work, and making an impact in his family lives too. Incredible guy. I don't want to prolong it any further.
Got it. No.
JaFayre Covington, welcome to the show.
No, I definitely appreciate the introduction, man. It's way too kind. As Will said, we have been long-term friends. I do want to state that. I mean, we've been friends since 7th grade. So to see his growth, he's kind of focused on me, and I do appreciate it. But to see his growth and for us to come from little boys playing outside to kind of having our own families and engaging in our own careers is great to see. So great to be a part of. Glad to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome. So we'll dive right into it. I want to make sure we maximize our time today and let you just learn a little bit more about Ja. So tell us a little bit about where you are now, what you're working on right now.
Okay. So as Will said, I am senior project manager with Messer Construction. I will be stepping into, we'll be getting trailers out to the job site next month. So looking forward to that. But the new North and West Louisville Hospital is going to be a Harmon Messer project, joint venture downtown towards the West End. So major project for the city, for the community specifically, long overdue in my opinion. So really looking forward to being a part of it and the impact that can come from it. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. So
it's one big project after another.
I've been blessed, man. Been blessed.
So I listed out some questions, but we're just going to talk about this stuff because I think that there's just an endless amount of things that we can learn here today. Let's start with just when you receive a new project, where do you begin in the process?
So general statement there for our company, because that's kind of where it starts with pre-construction, and that includes what the customer is looking for. So kind of engaging with the customer for this one, this upcoming project. Could it be Norton? You talked about 2 other projects, Before that, U of L, so University of Louisville. Before, what are you looking for? What's important to you? Right. Same for the soccer stadium with the Lou City team. It was okay. We want to change the face of the city. We want to include the city. So like those have typically been the concepts that are most important, other than obviously schedule. Right. We want to open at this time. We got to and then cost, the budget, where those funds are coming from, what that looks like.
Gotcha.
So how to fit within that budget and still give the overall product that they're looking for. So just kind of thinking through that. And then the next step from there for me is like, okay, where are we at with design? Where are we at with the drawings and with the concepts that are going to be in the building, right? So each project's different. There's situations where you're working directly with the design team to kind of come up with the best constructability concepts, I guess. There's other projects where they've already got the whole design done, and they just want they want your take on one or two things. Or we always give those kind of thought-provoking comments in response, like, all right, we've done something like this before. You might want to stray this way from it and just slight adjustments, but it's on the design team. And been fortunate to work with some great architectural firms, engineering firms under those architects. So it's a team effort, and like that's one thing that we're gonna talk through a lot with a lot of these answers, because it's never one person, it's never 5 people. I mean, it takes everybody. It takes every company. Fortunately, with Messer and where I've been at and continue to grow within the company, you get a little bit more and more say. You build those relationships, and that's one thing that's really important with Messer. So it's one thing that kind of drew me towards Messer when I looked to move back to Louisville. So I kind of danced around your question, but I think it gives you an answer there.
I think we're going to have a recurring theme today, because I hear a lot of, talking about how many people are involved. And when I think about that, I think about communication being just paramount to everything. But I also think of the other stuff we're going to get into today, and communication being key to everything.
For sure, it is.
That like a lot of that ties into step 1 of the goaltending model, just in terms of when you're talking to your client or customer, whoever you're taking a project on for, identifying what is your intent, like what's your start point and what's your projected finish line.
Correct.
You're getting those dates, you're getting everything set in place. So how in depth do you go when it comes to like taking an inventory of the assets that you all have, the resources you already have, the knowledge on your team? Like do we have the people that know how to do this stuff? How in depth do you go with that type of process?
So I got promoted to senior project manager a little over a year ago now. So moving into that step allowed me to really, what does the team look like, right? Versus just kind of being a part of it and having more of a leader that designated more. Now it's on me. Okay, this is what our capacity looks like, right? And that's one of the discussions that my operations vice president talks about a lot, is what is our capacity as a whole for the region? What does it look like for this project? What are they looking for? What is going to be the role and responsibility of each of the individuals on the team, right? So we look at that, assets, resources. I wondered when I read that question what way you meant that, because it can mean a lot of things for our projects. Because I kind of steer towards subcontractors having to really look at our subcontractors that we hire directly. Okay, what do their resources look like? What is their capacity like? How many projects are they taking on currently? Do they have the manpower? One, but also with us all dealing with COVID recently, right? The adjustments that came from that. Okay, what do the resources look like that way? What are our lead times? That's one of the biggest questions we have. Okay, the customer wants it in this time frame. One, is it realistic? And being transparent in that communication. Like that's the expectation from us. That's the expectation I have for any subcontractor, anybody that's part of the team will say is, okay, this is where we're at. This is what we have. Okay, does it fit? Does it not? Is it something that we can work with, or do we need to look at something different now? So the quicker you make that call and that adjustment and that understanding, the better that we all are long term. So that's how we look at it.
So I love the way that you approach the question, because it's a very in-depth question. Mm-hmm. The bigger your goal is, or the bigger your project is, that's going to determine, how big that. Yeah, you're
yes. Yes, because I'm like, it changes over time as well. Like, what do we need now, and what are we going to need? What is most important? What are we most concerned with? It's a lot of pre-planning, a lot of thoughts, trying to be proactive versus reactive, and it's just been a development that I've kind of taken on personally. Like, okay, now that I know more and I've been able to do some of these larger projects, like the thought process is a lot different from when I was coming out of school, or even an early project engineer. Like, okay, get out here and I'm gonna learn things, and I'm gonna, and it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm still learning every day. Yeah, but it's always like taking all those things that I have learned and all the experiences that I have had to this point, and the relationships that have been built with these different, very important subcontractors, like and I want to explain a little bit to maybe the audience that would look at, like, what is a subcontractor, right? So the various trades within construction. For my role as a construction manager, we are literally overseeing the project as a whole. So from a cost standpoint, schedule, quality, all of these components that we look at, and then customer satisfaction, right? So those are some of the components that we look at overall. Well, that deciphers down into where are our subcontractors, where those trades that allow us to actually build the project from the ground up. So you got your concrete, you have obviously, steel, structural steel, metal studs, exterior framing, drywall, the painter, the flooring, like everything that when you go into a room and you see it around you and you don't really think too much about it. Electrical, mechanical, plumbing, you expect to go in that room and the light turns on when you hit the switch. You don't expect to go in there and freeze or overheat. Like, all of those things are what we deal with every day. Yeah,
I got you. There's a couple things I want to get into on that, because I love where you're bringing up, is this realistic? There's an acronym that a ton of people use. I love to always talk about it, and that's SMART. Your goal has to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and you usually want to have it time bound. Like, you want to have a time to it. So I love using the SMART acronym as like an easy way to understand, like, getting in there to, like, realistic being a big piece of it.
You're spot on.
Yeah. But also just the in-depthness that I wanted to circle back to when you're looking at one of a long-term goal. What he brought up is you might look at what resources you have right now to start with, but when you're looking at a goal that's 5, 10, or even further out, you're going to have to constantly review and refine. That's step 5 of the process. You constantly have to look at, okay, now we know new things, or now there's a new set of circumstances that we have to face, and then you adjust accordingly. Okay, now we need new things, now we need new people, we need new relationships, whatever it is, you adjust to the circumstance. So I love the way that translates to anything, right?
Right, it does. You made a major point early on, just talking about communication. That translates to anything. And that is what you use every single day, regardless of what industry or career field that you're in. Everyday conversations, the ability to have that, the comfortableness in that. And I think, in general, people can see this is a genuine person, or what they're saying is real or not. It's authentic or it's not, right? So that's something that correlates directly with what you're talking about too. So.
Absolutely. So I wanted to bring this piece up because we've talked about time a little bit already. Okay. So in the military, we often implement what they call a 1/3, 2/3 planning method.
Okay.
So the commander of a unit will receive a mission. Like this is the task you all have to take on, or your goal, or whatever you want to call it. But this is what you're going to take on. And what happens from there is now we know what the project is, or the goal, or what we're getting ready to work toward. And then with that comes, this is the time that you're expected to complete the mission.
Okay.
So the commander and the leadership of that unit spends 1/3 of the time on planning, on putting things in place, on making sure that everything is where it needs to be, so that they can provide a good, detailed operations order to the unit to execute. And then they leave the unit 2/3 of that time remaining to execute the mission.
Got you. Okay.
Not sure if that might be something a completely foreign concept, or I didn't know if you had heard of that before, or if you all have any kind of similar type of kind of time breakdown planning when it comes to taking on a project.
Okay. No, I hadn't heard of that before, to answer your question, but the thought process is exactly what we do. As far as preparation one, and so looking at it like daily, weekly, 6 weeks, so on and so forth, basically. So milestones. We have milestones in this construction schedule. But looking at that daily, kind of going back to 1/3 and planning for what you plan to execute, that's exactly what we do every day, right?
Yeah.
So we have a form that we expect every contractor out there to do, to fill out before we ever start doing any work. And it's something that our team would check as well. They have to turn it in, they have to sign off on it. So basically, okay, this is the area we're going to be working, this is what we're going to do. And included in that, because the big thing with construction, and I left this out earlier on what we look at with costs, is safety. Safety is number one. So safety is number one. That's what kind of you realize how much having a detailed plan, enforcing, filling that out, and signing off on it. It's accountability process there, right? So we expect the foreman to do that. This is where we're going to be working. This is what we're going to do. These are the safe, like included in this is these are the safety equipment that they're going to be wearing. Every day is hard hat, safety vest, high vis vest, boots, and gloves every day. Now those gloves can change depending on the task. Sometimes you got to deal with hot work, so we have a hot work form for that as well. Before you can start a flame on my project, you have to fill this out and you have to bring it to our trailer, and it has to be signed off by one of the managers saying that we know that this is happening. Right. So it's kind of that same concept. Okay, so we do all this first thing in the morning, along with our safety huddles that we have every day, the entire job site. Everybody has to go 3 to 5 minutes or whatever. Hey, these are some of the things that we know of that everybody's going to have to kind of deal with logistics wise. There's going to be trucks that are coming in and out today, concrete pour at 3, like whatever it may be, right? And then the work begins. And then it's the expectation, okay, you're going to be in that area doing exactly what you said. Something comes up, there's adjustments like you talked about. A new form has to be filled out. Okay, we intend to transition here, filled out, signed off before they can go to a different area that wasn't planned for, right? So we do that for everything. And then everybody doesn't always follow it, right?
Yeah.
So then that's typically
everybody doesn't follow the rules.
Yeah, exactly. That's typically when an issue happens is, okay, well, why were you even over there? Because you said, oh, well, we didn't have this material come in, so we just moved. No, you can't. And that's why these things happen, right? So that's one part of that. Another part of that is our expectation for you to only bring the materials that you're going to install or put in that week. So we don't have extra drywall just stored all over the building, rebar, whatever it may be. You have that time frame for that week, because that's how we plan for it. It's every week. And we have a meeting every week with every single subcontractor separately of this is what we're doing this week. Are we going to meet that goal or not? Why? try to address it middle of the week, right, to give us an opportunity to still meet it. But then we also plan for the following week at that point. Okay, per the schedule, we're supposed to be doing this. Well, these things came up. Okay, well, let me look at this. All right, well, you can go to here, but then we're also going to have to go back to here. And then, so those kind of adjustments. I'm speaking very general right now, but hopefully it's something that can be followed.
No, I love it, and I'll make the relation point, because if you all aren't picking up, we're talking about construction right now, but that is so relatable to anything in life. Like any goal that you're pursuing, things are going to change. But what I love here is we're talking about you have to you get your beginning and your end. You have to know your big picture. But I keep hearing you go back to we're looking at this week. We're looking at right now.
Yes.
Where it's broken down incrementally to what do we have to get done today?
Right.
What's our daily actions? That's a piece we talk about as well. What is the actions that I need to take today in order to get everything I need to do for the week?
Right.
I get everything done I need for the week. That sets me up to get everything I need done for the month.
And ideally, if you get everything done for the week, and then the next week you get everything done for that week, and then the next so on and so forth, right? Then how are you behind schedule? How are you ever falling short, right?
You can't, right?
Exactly. And
or can you? I don't know.
Ideally, you can't, right?
Yeah.
If we are assertive in planning out what we are supposed to be doing for that week, and ideally we don't miss anything, right?
Yeah.
And then we work hard to reach that goal, right? And it is a breakdown of goal by goal by goal by goal, right? For the duration of the project. Not only are you putting yourself in a place where you're lining yourself up for success, right? For long term, but also things happen, right? If we don't meet it this week, then we are also allowing ourselves to make an adjustment so that we can be in place for the long term, right?
Oh, I love it.
So if we got to make a call, we got to make a call now. If we got to make an adjustment now, this person isn't the fit. Just dealing with COVID out at the U of L projects, for example, it's like, okay, why didn't we make it? Well, manpower. We were missing 5 people, or 2 people got sick, but 3, the other people were in that area, so everybody was home, right? Okay, that's something that you all couldn't have planned for, right? So how do we adjust for it? Okay, this is what we have to do to make that happen. Does that involve? Then that's where the brainstorming comes in, right? That's where the pre-planning for the following week comes in, and then you got to have the right resources at that point. So yeah,
I think that's a great segue for, and really we've already been dancing around and talking about this, but there's a lot of obstacles in there with any goal, and we've also already touched on you have the obstacles that you can plan for. You have the things that you already think about, like we know we're going to face this, but then you have unexpected obstacles that there's no way we could have known this was happening. No way we knew COVID was about to whatever it is. Like there's unexpected obstacles that hit us. So how do you handle those on a project? How do you transition whenever you're hit with an unexpected obstacle?
I think that's where so we talked about it before, but degree in civil engineering technology, right? That's where the problem solving comes in. That's where, okay, how do I think outside the box for something that we never dealt with? Do I have the capability to do that, right? And you start like identifying the situation. Okay, this is what we can do. This is how we got to this point first, right? Okay, and this is where we're trying to get to. What does that look like? Do I need to make a higher call, right?
Yeah.
And like that's something for those that don't know me. Like that's hard for me sometimes. But being able to determine, okay, this is something that I can deal with, or this is something that I heard about on another project or in another region, and making a call to them. What did you all do? Yeah. And even if it's not the same situation, it can give you a little bit of tidbits like, okay, all right, I got you. Now you adjust and modify for your situation. Sometimes it is okay. We're gonna be a week behind now, right? But this is the plan that'll get us back. These are the adjustments that it's gonna take, and I go back to being a team, right?
Yeah.
It made me think specifically about our structure for the U of L project. We had 3 major contractors that were involved in how do we get from floor to floor, right? That building is an ICF building wall, so insulated concrete forms make the walls. Imagine like foam with 8 inches of concrete in the middle, and then it's steel, and then it's concrete slab. So those 3 contractors are primarily how you got the outside structure. Well, a part of that, the steel contractor also had hollow core planks. So if you think about preformed concrete planks at a factory that are driven in, well, they had a delay in the factory making those concrete planks, which throws off how if you're going step by step and they're supposed to be there and supposed to be done. Yeah. Well, they didn't know what to do. They're like, I'm trying to get them here as soon as I can. I can't get them here, right? When other contractors are doing well and they're like, well, I'm going there next. I don't know what you guys gonna do, JaFayre, right? And it's like, okay, so this is what that process looks like. ICF hollow core or ICF steel hollow core in place, concrete pour, move to the next area, right? Okay, I gotta keep the ICF contractor moving. I'm gonna move him to the next area. I'm gonna set the steel. We don't have the hollow core. We're gonna do 2 areas before they move to the next, and work in a way that they're not working on top of each other. Yeah. That was the adjustment that ended up happening. It still allowed us, I want to say, instead of being like potentially 3 or 4 weeks behind my intended scheduler, we were a half a week behind.
Wow.
So you got to play kind of the long game. Yeah. You got to make that relationship, and I just brought in all the parties that were involved. Hey, this is where we're at. All right, this is what we're dealing with. It's on him. It is on them, right? Yeah. But this is not a situation that they could have accounted for, and they've done what they've attempted to fix it. Now we got to make an adjustment as a whole. This is where we're gonna be at long term. Like, I'm good with it. Yeah, I'm good with it. So we got there.
There's a few things in there that I want to point out. One is self-awareness. So you came back and said, maybe I don't know how to do this piece. So I reach out to hire, or I reach out to somebody else, and I say, how did you handle this? Right. So I love that. Like, that's basically stepping back to step 2 and identifying, what you have and what you need. And so you look at your skills, knowledge, and resources. Like, okay, by being self-aware, I know that I don't have that, or like there's something I'm missing. But you can then say, okay, what do I need, and then how do I get it? Right. You reach out. Right. You build a new relationship, or you ask somebody that you already have an existing relationship with, or whatever it is. There's a way, but you go back to that, basically to step 2 is what I hear. And you are able to make the adjustments from there.
I think basically utilizing your resources is major. It was one of the biggest things that I learned while I was in college. Coming in from high school, truthfully, it was like it wasn't bad. It wasn't too hard. If you all have been to college, you'll probably agree, but you got to study, right? And then there's going to be certain things that's like, this doesn't come as easy as it used to. I just don't get it, right? And that's where I think having those groups in college was helpful. Having direct relationships with professors was extremely beneficial, and it really allowed me to be a lot more comfortable with asking for help, right? I think more people deal with that than we think about, right? So it's one of those things that, like, the sooner that you can do that you can become self-aware with what you got, what you're dealing with, but more importantly, realize these people are here, they're around you, they've said that they're willing to help. Utilize that, man. It's only gonna gain for you, but also it's nurturing a relationship there.
Yep.
And you don't have to go through. Sometimes you don't have to go through the hard experience. You can use their experience and learn from it and move forward quicker. And that's one of the things that I've tried to apply my entire career. Yeah.
Tell me, have you run into this? So I find that I feel like I have found that people want to feel useful. They want to help.
They do.
So if you give people the opportunity to help, it makes them feel like they're, it makes them feel like they're doing something to, like they're useful. And so a lot of times it's scary to ask for help because you feel like maybe you're inconveniencing somebody. But when you approach it with respect and trust and let them know, hey, I believe that you may have experience in this and I don't. At least 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, that person is gonna try to help or want to help, or if they can't help, maybe they can connect you with somebody who can help.
That's it right there too. Is you don't have all the answers. They don't have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers. That's why we're all here working together. Okay, I'm humble enough to basically is what you're leading to, just being humble enough to say, hey, I've got this situation. I've got this issue. I've looked at it. That's one thing too is. Make sure that you've actually attempted first. That can deter somebody from helping you. But no, I've attempted. I've looked at this. I'm just not grasping it, or I can't figure out how to resolve the issue. Okay, yeah, I can help you with this, or no, I don't know either. But I do know this one guy or this one woman. She had this situation. For us, we call it key learnings, right? For our company, we have 11 regions now, in most of the Midwest and Southeast. So there's times where one clear example, my project executive on the soccer stadium project, he was called on when we were part of the Nashville Stadium project. So our Nashville region called and asked and kind of looped him in as a stadium. What was I forgot what kind of like title they kind of came up with, but basically a stadium professional within our company, right?
Okay.
Because he also did the U of L North End expansion for the football stadium.
Oh, gotcha.
Great guy. He's also my manager, supervisor, and a good friend as well. But yeah, so like there were plenty of times that the team down there that was working on the Nashville Stadium would call up and say, hey, have y'all dealt with this? Or what'd you do with this situation? And it's like those kind of things are what our company does all over. And we talk about building relationships with other companies in the region and stuff. But our regions all talk to each other. Like there's regular meetings for that as well. So it's like a lot of comfortability in that, and it goes a long way. It's part of our overall success. So
yeah. Well, I want to use while we're talking about relationships, I want to use this as a transition point or a segue in the conversation from less construction, less of the work and the business, and more to what I talked about in the beginning. That's the relationships. That's the balance in life. Taking on these huge projects, very time consuming. But I'm a firm believer that you have to be deliberate in managing the time for your relationships as well, which is a big piece of also why I wanted to have you on today, because I think, from what I see, you do a great job with that.
I try.
Incredible husband, a role model, father, like incredible in all those categories. And you do it all on top of doing incredible things at work. So just how do you, balance and communicate on the family side of the house to maintain those strong relationships while you're handling your responsibilities at work too?
I think you hit on it with how you were explaining it, being deliberate, right? Being intentional with time. Time is short. Each experience is important. And the big thing really has been just communication, right? We kind of talk about my career and then figuring out this work-life balance. My wife, she has her own career. She's growing in, doing really well at, and there's been plenty of times in the past where it's like, hey, I got to work later. We got this event for this upcoming project. I got one next week, right? And I told her about it, and it's like, well, Mercy's got swim class at night. Like, what does that look like, right? And I'm like, well, I thought about this. So kind of taking thought process and translating, like, I thought about this. Well, if you get Mercy and take her to swim, right after that, you'd be able to go and get Grace from basketball practice. Like, those kind of things. So we just kind of, and she has plenty of times where, hey, there's this work event coming up, or my supervisor's in town from out of town, and she wanted to take me to dinner afterwards and talk through some. So it's like give and take is a big thing, right? Setting up for us, it's been setting up and planning our time together. So just talking directly about the marriage relationship, right? Is planning our time together, and really with both of us working now and kind of grown, we're able to take those trips more. So it's like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We need to plan out in a month, in 3 months from now, we're gonna do this, and it's like something that we look forward to as well. When times are getting harder, or when things are hard at work, like we know, hey, we just push through. We know we got this weekend trip going, whether it's small or big. And then as far as just family goes, I think the time. So one thing that I really did, I guess a few years ago when my wife brought it to my attention, was like I was bringing work home mentally, right? A lot of the stressors that I had at work, it carried over. I was being shorter. I was more mentally exhausted at times. Just being real, right? And when she told me that, and it goes back to self-awareness. I really started thinking about what she was saying. It's like I gotta choose that stopping point, and I try to make, when I walk through that door, I try not to think about work. Right? There's times, just like anything else, where there's a call that's made late. So and so happened. Okay, I try to resolve it quickly. And not try to take on every problem. Being decisive in what's critical and what's not. Okay, I can handle that tomorrow. And that is something that. So I used it to be better at home, but I ended up using it to be better at work too. To choose those times when, okay, I'm gonna leave. With projects like, probably any project, but with projects that I've had or that we deal with, it's like you're really never done with work until the project's all the way over, right? And with that, we usually have a warranty period after that, so it goes past when the turnover time.
They gotta come back.
So it's like I try to make lists now. I choose things that have to be done that day, and then I choose a stopping point. Like once I finish this thing, I'm done for the day. Because otherwise, you just I would never leave, right? I would never ever stop working. So I have to do that, and I have to be a little deliberate with that, and say, all right, now I'm going home. I gotta go. So that's what I do. At least.
I love it. Man, first off, like thank you for being real, for being open, like because it's. I feel like people in our day and age with social media, it's easy to see, pictures of people living their best life, and you think, wow, they have it perfect, or wish my life was like that. Everybody has struggles.
Yes.
I mean, what I heard in that is like you've got all the problem solving, all the things going on at work, all these huge projects. And you also have the problem solving you have to do at home, of figuring out together, of working with your spouse, of, how do we manage the kids together?
Oh, man.
And I hear so much teamwork in there.
It has to. That's the only way of success, right? That's the only. And I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be as authentic as I possibly can. No, it isn't all the glamour. I don't really post that many pictures. My wife, she's the one that puts all that up. And it's like, I've seen other people before that have posted stuff, and then the truth comes out later. Like, that's why I don't really care about posting and all of that. Like, no, we have our issues. We've had our issues. We have just decided that we're gonna work to be better together, to be successful together, right? And it does take a team. That is my partner. She's my best friend. That's my wife. Like, and I hold those terms heavy because that's what she means to me, right? We've had our struggles, but that determination that both of us have is how you achieve what we consider success, and that's growing a happy family, being able to do more things together. So I've had some of the decisions that I made in my past, especially like with work and like not thinking that was more priority at the time. Like, no, none of this matters to me because I work for the impact that I have in the community, but I work for my family. So that we can do these things. And I think that there's a way to be successful by making that impact and doing well at your job, but not making your family fall short because of your success in their career. Like, it's not a this or that, because I'm always going to choose that.
Yeah.
So
so if you don't mind me sharing,
please,
as well, because we're here. I didn't think we were going here today, but so there was a moment in time back when I was in my MBA program. This is 2018-ish.
Okay.
So Brittany and I had just had Aaliyah. She's our oldest daughter, so she's very young. She's not even a year old yet.
Okay.
I'm working full time. Take on the MBA program, which is 3 nights a week, 3-hour nights after work. Jeez. Those 3 nights. Yeah. And then the nights in between, I'm working on homework for those classes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean, Brittany felt like a single mom. Like I wasn't around, and I thought in my mind, I'm thinking like I'm building something, like I'm improving. I'm trying to build for the family. I'm like I'm not there, but I'm doing the right thing because it's for you all. And it took one night, like Brittany sat down with me and she said, "I'm not happy," and it broke my heart. It destroyed me. But it also made me realize, like, I set the priority. I want to do great at everything, but if you make everything a priority, then nothing's a priority.
Right. That's wisdom.
And it took that turning point. It took that communication, because I didn't know until she told me. I was oblivious to it. I thought I was doing the right thing. So it took the communication, and then it took the desire to continue to communicate and to be a team and to make an adjustment. And I just wanted to share that piece. Like it's not perfect, and we have these struggles.
Yes, yeah, we do. I mean, no, and I appreciate you sharing that, man. I'm glad to hear that and see firsthand, like, you all meshing and working through it, and it's give and take. It's give and take, and it's deciding that this is what we want, right? What do we got to do? And you set goals with that too. What do we got to do for this to be successful? What do we actually want? Figuring out how to communicate that, right? And I think the better that you become with those relationships that are closest to you, the easier it is to communicate with anybody else, because they don't mean as much to you. But like, I'm a lot more comfortable now with just talking through day to day because of the issues that we've worked through, that I've seen in myself, and like, okay, you can't be Superman, JaFayre. Like, and I didn't realize I had that, but I definitely did. Right?
You want to be Superman,
and it's like no, you gotta. And that doesn't mean like take steps back on what you're pushing for, but like like you said, you can't make everything a priority. You can't do everything for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Because what do you have left, right?
Right.
I didn't have much left when I got home. Like I didn't have much left to give to the people that I care the most about, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just
Man,
adjustments.
we went there today. Man, great conversation. Like
For sure.
I love where we've gotten to. I think we could talk relationships, family all day.
Get back to yeah.
No,
Okay.
I love it, and it's a piece. So don't forget that your relationships have goals as well. Like you should have relationship goals, and you should communicate them. With your spouse, with your kids, with your friends. Like have clear boundaries and be deliberate in the time that you make for those relationships. So it's important for us to spend the time talking about it. With that, we've touched on work, we've touched on our personal lives and relationships, but for personal goals, and also often our personal goals when in a relationship are tied together. Because I like how you mentioned that you all have things that we are working toward. So in your personal goals, like what kind of accountability system do you all use to stay on track with your own goals outside of work?
I think that it's just so we like to use kind of that New Year. It's kind of cliche, but kind of that New Year time frame and be like, okay, this is what we want to do this year, right? And sometimes our personal goals tie in directly with our work goals, right?
Yeah.
And what is it going to take to be able to achieve that? Because realistically, so let me hit on work goals and I'll go back to it.
Yeah.
But realistically, my work, so my annual review is my birthday month, which is December. So it's right around that first of the year anyway. It's like, okay, one of those goals for my job, which is why I love my company, is like, what are you going to do personally as well? Personally to grow. Obviously, the Northwest Hospital is going to be like my project goal. How do I grow people around me? I got a community impact goal that's growing people around me, which is important to me, right? And then my personal goal is like, okay, how do I grow? I'm planning on taking on this this development program that's here in Louisville. I won't shout out the name, but I plan to apply this summer when it's open.
Yeah.
For me to be able to do that, though, that ties into, okay, what does that time look like, right?
Yeah.
Away from the family, and is that something that we can do? Is it something that we can agree on that it makes sense, right? It's one thing for work to think that, oh yeah, you should probably do this. Like you'd be great for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I left, I went and I talked to her about it. Like, hey, this is what I'm looking at. I think these are achievable. This is one that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And she has a goal for herself on getting involved with a different program for Louisville. So it's like time away then. How does that those timetables, how would they time out? Can we do that?
Yeah.
What's it gonna do for our family? Are we gonna take time away? What does it look like? So that's one way. Financial goals, we have those. And it's more so like what I realize now is it's more so like, what do we want to do with the financial goals? Like, it's one thing to just make money, right?
Yeah.
Or make more money. It's another thing to be like, okay, we're going to make more money to pay off this, to do this. Like, those are the goals that we set.
Right.
I'm gonna pay off my car this year, like, or then pay off, like, those back and forth. But our big thing really was, all right, we're going to take these trips, right? Because there's been plenty of years that I haven't taken all my vacation time. And I didn't feel like it was. And it's like, okay, well, why didn't you? One, was it really just doing that much at work? And that was part of it, yeah. But the other thing was, okay, can we afford that? Can we really afford that without it being a dynamic that our family really doesn't need to take on, right? So what we started looking at was, okay, maybe every month or every other month we take a trip of some sort. And one of those in the upcoming months is I got a guy's trip planned.
Yep.
She's got a girl's trip planned. We got a couple's trip planned. This month was our family trip. We went to Indianapolis and went to the Children's Museum. The girls there. Went to a Pacers Grizzlies game. So like those kind of things. But like planning those things out. What does it look like? Some are smaller and some are bigger. So those were some of the goals that we've had.
So I love the piece when you're talking finances. I just want to point out that he really was talking about identifying the why. Like the it's one thing to we want to make a bunch of money and we want to have this wealth. Why do you want it? What are you working toward? When you can create, when you can in your mind visualize your why, like this is exactly what we're working toward. It makes it a little bit easier to take the difficult daily actions, like the uncomfortable actions.
For sure. And I think, it gives you determination in it. It's like, okay, this is why we're doing it.
Yeah.
This is what it's for. It's more meaningful that way, one. And when it's more meaningful, you're willing to do what it takes to make that happen. And I think that's the big thing with anything. It's like that initiative, setting a goal, planning towards it, having those steps that lead you towards reaching that goal, and then your own checks with it. Like, you gotta check back. Am I actually doing anything towards it? Am I gonna achieve this goal? Am I not? And be realistic about it. Like, there's a goal I set last year that I did not achieve. Am I comfortable with that? Do I want to set it for the following year? Like, those are things that I work through, and that we work through. So
100%. Like that's why like review and refine for step 5 is so crucial, because that's a constant. Now you can set up frequent reviews or whatever. You can like check in, how often do I want to check in on my progress? You can set up something weekly or monthly or quarterly or annually or whatever it is. But several times throughout this conversation, we've talked about the importance of that piece, because things change. And I love the way that you bring up, when you get to that review time, maybe I didn't hit something I wanted to hit. Like I fell short somewhere. And then the identification of, okay, is this still a goal? Like, is this still what I want to pursue? Or maybe due to whatever, like changes, life, things that I didn't previously foresee, do I want to like shift or adjust? Or do I have a new goal that's like more important than that one, or a bigger why? So I love that you brought that up. I love that came into the conversation, because that's crucial to in reviewing your plan, like finding new stuff.
I agree.
Yeah. From your perspective, one or two of the most important keys to success when it comes to planning and achieving your goals. That can be, work, relationships, whatever it is. One or two keys to success.
So it's following the processes and the plans. Sometimes they are put in place ahead of time. I think fully making a plan to reach reach a goal, whatever goal that may be, does require processes that get you there. And what I've seen, at least project-wise, if you follow those processes, you put yourself in a very good position to reach the goal. What I've seen and what I've heard about from other projects, like I said, we communicate, is it got off track when they didn't follow the processes, right?
Yeah.
So that's one. The other thing is honest communication.
Yeah.
And that applies to everything that we talked about. So that's kind of what I wrote down, and I'm like, transparency in it, real communication of where you're at and what's going on. That's just like I just talked about. Like, there's goals that you don't reach, and there's reasons for that. Being real about those reasons can help you determine, okay, how to fix it going forward or in the future, and or determine, okay, that's not a goal that I actually want anymore. Maybe it wasn't a goal that was achievable to start. Maybe it's not a goal that should have been listed as a goal. Like, all those things apply. Like, okay, just being real about where you're at, what you're doing, how you move forward. I think it goes a long way, and that in itself will set you up for growth. in turn set you up for success. So
100%. I love it. So outside of like keys to success, two great points.
okay.
Is there anything I didn't ask you today that you think would just be like helpful, useful to talk about from your story, or just in general that can help people?
I think so. I'm glad you wrote that down because I actually have an answer for that. No. What I've realized in multiple points in my life is that there are things that you don't know if you can do. That you don't know if you have the capability to do. That's scary at times, right? It's to face that fear head on and to go after it. Ask to do that extra thing, push to do those extra steps. Say, yeah, I want to take on that role, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And then more times than not, if you put in the work, you'll either reach that and be successful in it, or you'll fail forward.
Yeah.
Just taking on responsibility, it requires growth. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to say, yeah, I want to do it. I mean, truthfully, that's how I got on the soccer stadium project.
Yeah.
Was, hey, I heard I want to do it.
Go for it.
I want to do it. And I was hesitant because the project before that, that's where I lost my hair at because I was stressing out. But I was hesitant because I knew it would require a good amount of time. But it's like, this is what you like. This is what you wanted to do. This is a stadium project. Like, so I had to throw myself out there, and it's been an upward climb for that.
I'm so glad you said that and like brought that up because the fear of failure is, if not the number one, like one of the top things that hold people back from achieving their goals, from pursuing things, from getting where you want to be. Just if you can lean into that fear, like JaFayre said, there's so much more on the other side. If you approach it with a win-or-learn mentality instead of a win-lose mentality, like even if you fail, you're in a better place because you can learn from that experience. So, Ja, thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here, taking the time. I mean, just that was incredible. You all definitely didn't pay anything to be here, but you got your money's worth. And so thank you for tuning in, as always, and letting us join your journey today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, share, and comment to join the conversation. Let's grow together.